We finished 2-3 weeks ago. We talked about OCD until we were tired of it. And tonight we're going to carry on with a lesson that I wrote right with OCD. I intended them to go together. But you guys got so OCD about OCD that I never got to it. So tonight we're going to start with anal retentive. Now, when I'm joking around, I tell people that I'm an obsessive compulsive anal retentive perfectionist. And in my computer career, there wasn't much off from the truth. But OCD and anal retentive and perfectionist are all different. And we've already talked about two of those. Perfectionism as a character defect, because that can be good and that can be bad. And we've talked about OCD and how true OCD is not really understood. We joke about being OCD. Oh, he's OCD about whatever. But we talked about what real OCD is in the last sermon out of this series. Anal retentive is something most churches aren't going to preach on because it sounds offensive. Well, let me tell you, this is actually a scientific, psychological term. And it comes out of the Freudian school.
Anyway, that was a side note.
So, anyway, anal retentive is a term that comes from the Freudian school of psychology, where they teach that infants progress from an oral stage where they put everything in their mouth to the anal stage where they focus on learning to control bowel movements. Okay? We call it the potty training stage. Okay? And according to the Freudian school of psychology, people that are anal retentive have an obsession that Freud believes started during their toilet training. And they never got past this. By the way, it's a theory seldom accepted by professionals today. Okay? But that's where the term comes from. As the term is used today, it usually means someone who feels an overwhelming need to control all aspects of their surrounding. We're back to the control issues, the control freak.
I think we just experienced that.
Yes, we were just dealing with somebody like that. So, some would say somebody that's anal retentive has a mild form of OCD, and they're wrong. Okay? That's what the last sermon we talked about. In many cases, it might reflect more closely to perfectionism. And probably rightly so. But like I say, being a control freak is probably more related to it. Somebody that's anal retentive, or what we term anal retentive, when they're making a shopping list, they not only have a detailed shopping list, but they have everything in order of aisle and in order within that aisle. So that as they're going down aisle 3, I want to get this and then this, and it might even say if it's on the left or the right. Okay? That's somebody that's got what we term as being anal retentive. And they might have a fixation on having enough of certain products. You go into their house and they might have 17 bottles of hand soap. all lined up on one counter. And when they use one, they've got to go get another one right away. Now OCD, they'd have to, if that was their thing, they'd have to go get it immediately. Somebody that's anal retentive, it's going to be like the next day or whenever it's convenient. Slight difference. You see that? Somebody that's anal retentive, here's one a friend of mine gave me. When they put their money in their wallet, they not only make sure that no corners are creased, they not only make sure that every bill is facing the same way and in the right denomination. I mean, they do all of that. So they got 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s. You want to really drive somebody like that nuts, give them a $2 bill. Especially if they work in a convenience store or a grocery store, their cash register has no slot for a $2 bill. You can literally see them look at it and look at their drawer and look at it. I have seen them go into almost shock trying to figure out what to do with it. Because what are they taught? Depends on the store, but maybe $20 bills go underneath the cash register drawer, or maybe it's 50s in that store. But 1's here, 5's here, 10's here, 20's here, 50s and 100s underneath. Nobody told me what to do with a $2 bill.
Dollar coins.
Dollar coins, same problem, only worse. Because nobody ever told them to put any bill underneath, or any coin, I mean. They only told them to put big bills. Dollar coins, 50-cent coins. Drives them insane. Okay? Perfectionists can probably deal with that. Somebody that's a control freak can probably deal with that. Somebody that's got OCD can't deal with much anyway, so don't worry about it. But somebody that's got anal retentive issues of this nature can't deal with those things. They tend to correct even minor mistakes made by others, such as when somebody says, we have 5 cookies over there, and they say, no, you got 6. Great. They probably will seem overly frugal, perhaps overly stubborn, and they will seem extremely meticulous to others. We've been through enough of these already, so how do you deal with somebody with these issues? First off, if you have these issues, try and overcome. How do you deal with it?
Loaded 44 mag.
Loaded 44 mag, no.
But I have a question.
Love them, endure them, be patient with them.
Do you think the anal retentive can be in every area of their life, some areas of their life? Because me, on some things, I'm whatever. When it comes to firearms and hunting, that is an area that I'm a perfectionist, somewhat anal retentive.
But dealing with firearms, I wish everyone were.
No, I mean, I gotta have this type,
Yeah,
and it's gonna shoot this load.
But I want them all to make sure their guns are clean, they're properly locked, the ammo's kept in the right place. I know what you're saying. Here's the thing, most people that have anal retentive tendencies, it's in certain areas of their life. I don't know of anybody, I've never met anybody, I've never heard of anybody, and again, like I said before, I'm not the expert. I'm an amateur in this field. But I've never even heard of anyone that's anal retentive in everything in their life. If we were, they'd probably be OCD, right? That would be somebody that's OCD, and they're gonna have issues beyond anal retentive. We all have this tendency, well, no, not all of us. I've met people that I couldn't imagine where they're anal retentive. We tend to have this tendency in us when I work on computer code, when I'm writing or designing computer code, I have very extensive, strong anal retentive tendencies. If you go down and look in my desk, I don't have anal retentive tendencies. If you get in and look at my computer and see where stuff is organized and arranged, I have anal retentive tendencies. I have a massive amount of data on my computers down there. And if I die, I'm going to tell you, my family's got no problem finding anything. Just follow the trails, the names give you everything. Okay, it's that organized. My desk looks like a whirlwind hit it. Maybe a small tornado. It works for me. You see what I'm saying? My wife and I, when I got out of the Army in 1978, remember she grew up in the Air Force. One of our biggest issues was, how do you go grocery shopping?
I couldn't get to the commissary.
You know, we can no longer get to the commissary, which is where we bought everything. And now we gotta shop in civilian stores. How do you know which one to go to? Because the commissary is good deals. True, bro? They got the best deals. So what did we do?
So what did your wife do?
Well, what did my wife do? I think I helped a little bit. But we made a list of 400 items or something, multiple pages. And we went to 3 or 4 different stores and got prices on everything we could. No buying, no shopping, just pricing. I'm sure people thought we were idiots. But we figured out which store was cheapest overall. Now, that's not being anal retentive. Well, perhaps it is to some. What's anal retentive is if your shopping list is structured so that each week you check down what items you need and you've already got the store layout on your shopping list and it comes in order. I've already used that example. That's anal retentive. Okay? Especially because grocery stores change their shelves every week. So you gotta keep track of that too. And that's the last we're gonna deal with anything in that realm. So perfectionism, control freak, OCD, anal retentive. Any questions, comments, concerns, issues?
It seems like I can understand anal retentive and perfectionism running together, but it seems like OCD can be a contributing factor, somewhat related.
No, true OCD is not even close to related.
It's a mental illness.
What people commonly call OCD is usually more anal retentive, which most psychiatrists don't recognize anyway. Okay? They tend to lump it towards control freak or perfectionism to the extreme. Okay? Moving on, I wanted to talk about bipolar. This is another one of those that's thrown around all the time today. And I've already talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again tonight. I got people tell me I'm bipolar. Well, you don't have any of them here tonight because I have dealt with this multiple times since we started this church. And usually, with only one exception, I tell them you are not bipolar, you just have no self-control. Bipolar, the experts say roughly 4% of Americans suffer from being bipolar.
But 80% are diagnosed.
I think more than 80% are self-diagnosed. And it's not been proven yet, to the best of my knowledge, but they believe that this is a genetic disorder. The official name is bipolar affective disorder, or manic depressive disorder, or manic depression. It is classified as a mental illness. Laymen like myself tend to call it a mood disorder.
Who are they that do the genetic studies? Because
Scientists,
but they say the
psychiatrists.
same thing about homosexuality. It's a genetic.
Well, some say that, some do not. We're not going to go into homosexuality.
Okay.
But it's the collective body of science and scientists, psychiatrists, doctors, and usually when I say something like this, I am looking at what the majority say, and I will usually make a statement to the effect that a small amount say something else if that's what I'm going to talk about. I am taking the commonly accepted viewpoint of science. And so with all those different names, bipolar is a mood disorder. And I think I told this joke in the previous sermon, but I'm going to tell it again. You know, men like to joke about women are bipolar once a month, but women like to joke that men are bipolar every day. And you know, there's a lot of truth in that. But we're talking about self-control here, people. Yes, physical factors can affect our mood. Both our body and stress around us, our environment, and everything else. But I go back to one of my favorite illustrations. You go into a nice big church on Sunday morning, you know, like Third Church of the Community, the Redeemed Saints of the Lord in Jesus Christ, Redeemed Again, on the corner of Oak and Elm. And the pastor there has got a wonderful smile, 6 feet wide. And he greets everyone with happy, happy, joy, joy. And you don't always feel like that. It's called self-control. It's what people want from him, so that's what he gives them. Do you hear what I'm saying? When you go to see your family physician, you do not expect to walk in and have somebody say, well, what in the world do you want? Why are you here? I don't know why I bother with you. I actually met a doctor like that.
That is my doctor.
By the way, I didn't go back to him. Okay? She met that doctor first. I didn't know I had an appointment with that doctor. The doctor I usually saw happened to be gone. I went and saw the same doctor she'd seen, and I told the owner of the clinic, you got a problem. I don't need to see a doctor like that. How about you? When you go in, you want a doctor that says, how are you? What can I do for you? In some way, shape, or form. Am I right or am I right? Dentist, optometrist. Do you want to go buy a car from a salesman that says, oh, here comes some more stupid customers, always taking up my time, probably don't have enough money to buy anything, I'm not going to bother with you people, go away. You know what you call a car salesman like that?
Unemployed.
Unemployed. A salesperson, a professional that's treating people, has to have self-control. True? True.
Any businessman does.
Any businessman does. If you walk into a store and somebody treats you poorly, you aren't interested in coming back. Listen, people, if we as Christians do not exercise self-control, why would anyone want to be a Christian? Zig Ziglar told the story, and if you haven't heard of him, he was a great, great salesman, happened to be a Christian, became a professional speaker. I don't know if he ever stopped selling or not, but he told the story about in his travels. One day he was getting on a plane, and I'll cut the story real short. He had this one lady, she had the longest face. He said it had been longer, and if it had been any longer, the mules would have been jealous. And she had a big old frown on it. And they were sitting next to each other, and he asked her what she did. She told him. She asked him what he did. He said, I'm a minister. And she said, oh, I'm a Christian. He said, I wanted to tell her, please don't tell anyone. If you live your life claiming, I'm bipolar, that's giving yourself an excuse to have a lot of bad moods.
So you think Abraham Lincoln, I think, coined it. But again, what you're saying, the person is as happy or as sad or as they make up their mind to be. That's control.
A man named Marvin Phillips, who in 1978, he's speaking in Scappoose, Oregon. He's from Garnett Road Church of Christ in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Impressed me so much, I remember his very words. He gave a short class on Saturday morning. He was doing a whole weekend with some of his other people speaking. And one of his classes was titled, Let's Choose Joyfulness. And he said one day his daughter woke up, she's a teenager, and she woke up and she wasn't having a good day. And he said, darling, you can choose to have a good day, you can choose to have a bad day. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. Now again, his illustration was much longer. But when you wake up in the morning, you can wake up with a massive headache. And you can choose to let that cause you to have a bad day. And everyone around you is going to suffer. If I got to feel this miserable, then everyone else is going to feel this miserable. That's your choice. You can wake up with a massive headache, and you can put a smile on your face and see how many people you can fool into thinking you don't have a massive headache. For more than 2 years now, I've been struggling with my health. My family knows that I struggle with headaches. Headaches that are mind-numbing. Had one last Thursday night. Did you know that? I haven't been talking much in the last few days. I've been trying to get my voice back. This is 3 weeks in a row where I don't have much of a voice. Now, I wasn't trying to be mean. AJ was over here for a couple hours before church and I didn't talk to him. I wasn't trying to be mean or bring him down. I was just trying to save my voice so I could preach to you guys. Because my voice actually gets worse than this the longer I talk. Isn't that cool? Now, what is your attitude, people? I get sick of Christians telling me I'm bipolar. No, what you are is a lazy, incompetent, inconsiderate, selfish, self-centered person with no self-control. You are not exhibiting Christ. And if I'm not a Christian, and I see you and you tell me you're a Christian, I'm going to tell you, well then get out of my life. I don't want to be like you. In case you didn't gather, people that claim to be bipolar don't like me. Now, I said there was one exception. She doesn't come to our church. She came a few times. She was actually part of the warehouse. which is where we began. The warehouse was a church, for those of you who don't know. And she was a regular there. When she told me she was bipolar, I just said, okay. She wasn't going part of my church, what do I care? She started calling me regular. I still see her now and again. She struggles with true bipolar. Uncontrollable, extreme mood swings, and they can happen like that. She doesn't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to have a miserable day. She can think she's having a great day, and all of a sudden, she just falls apart and starts crying and walking down the street. And she can't even tell you why. She's singing a song, praise God from whom, oh my God. Just like that. It isn't a matter of choice for her. Again, I'm not a professional, but I can tell you that mood swings are normal, natural, a real part of life. You feeling in a bad mood? Shut up about it, deal with it, and put on a happy face. Did I leave any room for doubt as to where I feel in this one? Y'all get the picture? Man, I still got pages of this. Seems like we've been doing this half the year. I've got 3 more pages. Actually, I'm going to stop right here for tonight. No, I'm going to do the last one. And we'll have one more sermon. The very last category I had written down, I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to come back and do the other 2 together. The very last one is one that I don't want to say most, but an awful lot of people really have this character defect. Now, it isn't necessarily a defect, okay? I want to start with that. And I'm calling this one, and this is my name for it, is the need to please. Now, I don't know about you, but I like to please people. Can anybody relate to that? You like to make people feel good? You like people to like you? You know, do you ever wonder if, wow, am I trying to buy my friends, or am I just trying to make them happy, or am I just trying to do what makes me happy? Or you ever wonder about that? I do. Before I became a Christian, there were people that liked me. I could put up a good front, but those that knew me and knew me well, the only reason they liked me is because I had a lot of money in my pocket and I'd buy everything everywhere we went. So I do understand this a little bit. You know where it's a problem, where it's a defect? I would say it's when you have an inability to say no to somebody. Okay? An inability to say no. You know, we all struggle. I mean, most of us. There are some people that don't care about anybody, but most of us struggle to please others. But somebody with this is a defect. They feel a compulsion to please and to give, even at great cost to themselves and their family. You know, somebody that makes $10,000 a year and has a family of 4, and they feel the need to go out and buy a $300 ski jacket to give to their friend because he mentioned he needs a new jacket. And he makes $100,000 a year. But this person has a compulsion to help, to please. That's when it's a character defect. If you want to overcome this, that it is a defect. Okay, and I'm not saying it's always a defect. I have a need to please. It makes me happy when I make other people happy. Of course, it makes me happy. We go to the 5 love languages, and people misunderstand that book all the time. But your love language, one of them is gift giving. That doesn't mean you like to give gifts, people. It means you like to receive gifts. Okay? The need to please is to give gifts. Don't mistake those. If this is a problem, try and go through your life and list every time you said yes in the last week. Hard thing to do, but it might shock you. An easier way might be, go ahead.
You're not talking about enablers though here, right?
No, I'm not talking about enablers. Somebody that has a need to please that's an extreme, that's a defect, is giving to people that have no defect, if you will. What they're giving isn't going to change the life of the person, but they just have to give.
The gift we got earlier today.
Yeah. Now earlier today, somebody stopped by and brought a gift for John and Ruth. She made it. That's nice. She wanted to give it. Now, if she makes 100 of those a week and gives them to everyone she meets, now we got a defect. See the difference? So, and she wasn't enabling them. It's one of these, put the paper plastic bag in the top and pull it out the bottom. It's a nice homemade thing, pretty decorations, hangs on the wall. You know, she's not enabling anybody. But, you know, just like the earlier illustration, a poor man giving a rich man a really nice, expensive jacket, he's not enabling anybody.
Impressive, man.
You know, having been a man with money, you aren't impressing me.
No, but you're trying to.
Maybe. Another way, instead of looking at the number of times you say yes, if you consider where you spend your time. You know, if you're a family man and you've got 3 kids that are in junior high and high school, and you spend all your time going to sporting events and band concerts and choir concerts and plays, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a family man, you got 3 kids that are in junior high and high school that are involved in all these events, and you spend all your time mowing the churchyard and cleaning the toilets at the church and so forth, you got a problem. Do you hear the difference? You got to consider, where are you spending your time? To fight this, set priorities and follow them. Identify your limits. Allow others to take control and allow others to make decisions. These are good things. We've talked about this in terms of control freaks. This is not a control freak. They're not trying to control you with their need to please. They're just trying to make you happy. But they're trying to buy that happiness. if you or somebody you know is struggling with this need to please that's overwhelming, they need to recognize that their feelings and desires and needs have value. It's okay to meet your own needs. You know, the starving man goes and buys a T-bone steak and gives it to the rich man that's got plenty of food in the house. That's wrong. You hear what I'm saying? If you struggle with the need to please, practice this. No. No. And I have known people that literally had to go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and say, no. And one guy, he did that 10 times every morning. He struggled to overcome this. I think he did a pretty good job. And the last thing I would say is if you have a need to please, understand that you can say no and then change your mind later. Right? Jim, you ever tell somebody no and then say, you know what? I think I'll do it.
Lots of times.
Sure. Nothing wrong with this, people.
It's better than saying yes and then having to say no.
Yeah.
That makes you just look like you can't keep your word.
Well, yeah, I call those people lying hypocrites. Well, I'm going to hammer one of my soapboxes here, but the countless ministers that have told me they would come to visit our church in the 7 years we've been in existence, and only one of them has ever done so. And these many, 3-4 dozen, have told me they would come. Only one. And he's one that's told me he never wants me to come in his church again. Now, after that fact. Father, I thank you for this time. I pray that you help us to understand how to deal and relate with people, how to improve ourselves, but most important of all, how to be more useful to you, to be better servants to you. I pray that this night would have been a good one for each of us, beneficial, and I pray that it would have been pleasing in your sight. I thank you, Father, for each one that's here. I ask that you would bless them for that, for their desire, their willingness, and their faithfulness. In Jesus' name, amen.
And then we all went out to dinner.
1, 2, 3.
Advent
Christ.
Because it's